I have mentioned this camera a long time ago, but I don't think I had done a whole video about it. And it is such a, to me, a special camera and an interesting camera for so many points of view. Now, some of you might just recognise it from the case. It's a slightly battered case. And it's a battered case because this camera goes back to 1936. And I've got here a little passport. Well, rather than passport, I will say, it says on the back, an import certificate. And it's an import certificate signed for one Leica 202242, dated the 3rd of the 7th, 1936. And here we have, if I take it out of the case and have a look, and we'll look at the serial number, and the serial number is 202242. Now, for some reason I can't find the serial number on the lens, but we have in front of us, we have in front of us what I believe is known as the Leica 3A. I do get slightly confused with all the Leica numbers, but this is a classic camera in so many different ways, and it's a camera I like using. I think I could use it more than I actually do, but let's talk about it, about the pluses, about some of the minuses, a little bit about its history. Obviously I have its nice passport, well, import certificate there. I bought it from an intermediate friend who had who knew a photographer in Bristol who had a lot of cameras, and he had used this camera professionally, and I must say at first sight it was a little bit worn looking. This part of the lens, this part here was bent over, and you can see there's a crack here in the Vulcan, and there's a little mark there. This camera has been well used, but not only was it well used, it was always serviced. I had a service when I bought the camera as well, and let's look at how to use one of these. I mean, it's a classic from 1936. The difference, I believe, between the 2 and 3 is you've got this slow speed here. Now, one of the minuses with the Leica, I think, is the loading. You have to cut the film to the pattern here, and then you basically have you follow the pattern there with the cassette and leader, and you've got to have this you've got to have this top cut off in order that it then feeds onto the camera. You then put it into the camera and wind on. Now, I'll be honest, I find I have done this a number of times, and when I was using this and the Zorki 1, I got quite used to it. However, when I used this recently, I did find it a little bit of a pain. I got the hang of it in the end. One is the viewfinder and the other is the rangefinder. So to operate the rangefinder, you need this one here. And I had also forgotten that when we are doing, you have it up for, I assume you have it up when it's not infinity, and you have it down for when you are using infinity. That would indicate that. I had forgotten that. Right, so focusing is straightforward by moving the lens here. Oh, it is a collapsible lens. The lens just pulls out and you just twist it like so. Focusing is here. And as I said, rangefinder window here, you look through and you look for the double image and you bring the double image together. Aperture on the front of the lens here, shutter speed here. Now I would say be careful when you change shutter speed. I would advise you to have round on and then you can change the shutter speed. So focus, aperture, shutter speed, click, why not? And that's all there is to it. And at the end, you move this to R, move this part up and wind back. Now, a couple of things you can do if you're in the market for one of these, and this is about the cheapest Leica you can buy second-hand. The bodies go for, I would say, between 150 and 400 pounds. You used to be able to pick them up easily for £100. Those days seem to have long since gone. Now, the classic 39 Fred. This cam here is really important. One way you can check it's a Leica and not a Zorky one trying to look like a Leica. If it's a round cam here, you've almost certainly got a Leica. I say almost certainly, I suspect someone's changed some. So round cam there, really important to look out for. The other thing to look out for is on the top marking, it should have R for rewind. I've got a feeling the Russian was V, so if it's not got R, be careful. Plus the shutter can look different as well. But those are the the two key things is the engraving there and the cam here. Now, what is fantastic about this camera is the actual feel of the camera. It is small. I like the small viewfinder. I find I can fit everything in with my eyesight. It's quiet to use. You can do a Cartier-Bresson trick where you put it not quite on infinity, put it on f8 and you shoot from the hip. I assume this is a non-coated lens, and some people prefer the non-coated lens because they say it gives a better effect. I don't know. What I do like about this camera is it almost feels part of you when you are using it. It's just one of those designs, it fits into the hands so neatly, you feel you're using something of quality. Again, interesting comparing it to other cameras which were modelled along this, and I have had them side by side. This is just better made. I think it's incredible that this camera is almost 90 years old. It's still very, very usable. I had it out this week. Let's see how I got on with it. This is in Wareham, and you can see it's sharp, it's clear, it's correctly exposed, well, almost, and the Leica is performing very well here. It's picking up the detail of these bricks. The rangefinder seems to be corrected, calibrated, and I must say, when I was using the camera, I go on about the nice size of it and how easy it is to use. It really is. It's as I would say, it's easy to use now, or you get as much pleasure using this camera as the original owner must have done in the late 30s. And it's a practical camera. It's a camera you can actually use, and as I said, this is one of the cheapest Leicas. So yes, of course you want to be careful with it, but it is actually a practical camera to use. Having said that, I would say I might have a very slight leak at the bottom, or I'm not sure, because it could be the sprockets are quite close to the edge of the film. But I really enjoyed using this camera. I'm going to use it again. As I say, this is a keeps. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.